Good morning. This is a live listing presentation done as live as we possibly can. I have my partner, Mark Younger, who's going to be participating with me. He's the seller of the property. Now, Mark has called up and spoken to me, and I like to use something called a lead sheet. That is a listing presentation sheet. This is the lead sheet, and this is going to be shareable for everybody. We'll have this where it's available. Everybody can use this. You can bring it down and edit it. The link that we're going to put in there, and I'm going to do that right now, just so we have it. If you're watching this on YouTube, the link will be available for you on there as well. So I will do a stop in between here. So Mark calls up, and what I'm going to do is it's a lead, or he sent an internet lead in. This is what I keep them. This is a page or 2-page Word or Excel document that you can edit, and it's on purpose. It talks about the information. Have I been able to suss out if they're a buy or a disc profile in their conversations, which means are they a driver, an influential, a supportive, or a calculative, which is an analytic. Are they interested in buying and selling? I've gathered their information as best I can. You'll notice that there's follow-up, because in this case, Mark sent me a text message, say, hey, George, I found you on Zillow, or email on Zillow, and I'm interested in selling my house. So I want to continue following up. This is my lead sheet. On the top of this lead sheet, and you can edit this out by just clicking it and putting your own stuff in there. Listen and ask questions. When you set the appointment, it obviously goes on the top. So I've done my follow-up with Mark, and I get him on the phone. Now, Mark, for our conversation, you're still a little vague, but you know that you're going to be selling your home, and we haven't really met. So we're going to get into a Q&A, and I'm going to call, and this is where we're going to do a little role play. So if we can, let's just kind of talk about the fact that you reached out to me. You sent me an email saying, I'm interested in selling my home. And I responded back, and I finally got you on the phone. I've tried a couple times. So we're just going to jump right into it. Ring, ring. Answer, Mark.
Hello.
Hey, Mark, it's George Philbeck with eXp Realty. I'm glad I finally got in touch with you. I called a couple of times. Is this a good time? Do you have a quick second for me?
Yes.
Okay. You know how role play works, right, Mark? You're going to have to actually respond like we're on a phone talking. Is there a lag in our conversation? Mark?
Yeah, am I muted?
No, you're good. Is there a lag in our conversation though?
I think so, because I've been answering you.
Okay, well, we'll play as if it is. That's cool. We can go with it. So, Mark, tell me, what's going on? How can I help you? It seems like you might be interested in finding out a little more about your options to sell your home.
Yeah, well, I've been seeing the market kind of go up in the last few years, and my wife and I were interested in selling, and we're looking to downsize anyways. At our age, the kids have moved out, so we thought we'd go grab a condo on a beach somewhere.
Outstanding. A condo on the beach somewhere. That sounds a lot of fun. Breaking out of the role play, mirror and match, approve what he's doing. That's awesome. Back into it. Well, Mark, that's terrific. I guess what I'd love to do, with your permission, is I'd love to come see your home, be able to talk to you about it. I really have, looked right down here, 2 goals, and they are to provide you with useful information and, of course, answer any questions with you. Would that be okay with you?
Yes.
Terrific. I want to ask a few questions so I can best prepare. And by the way, does tomorrow at 3 o'clock work well, or would Thursday be better at around 5 o'clock? What's best for you, sir, for me to come take a quick look at the home?
I think Thursday at 5 would be better.
Terrific. And if you don't mind, I'm going to actually send something out ahead of time that has a little more information about what's going on in the current market, and just some information that might be useful for you. Can I have that dropped off at your house?
Yes.
Great. Going to break out a role play at this point. This is what we're talking about. So you're able to see this on the screen. This is a 1/2-inch binder I bought from Office Depot, and inside the binder there's the cover sheet, which looks a lot like that one that's on the screen, and inside the binder is all the information. Now, the most important part, we'll get to it, is this very front page. Right inside this front pocket and we're going to cover that in just a minute. This is what's in the binder. It is a pre-listing package. I would challenge you to get it to them. You can put it in an express or priority mail envelope that you can get for free from any post office. It's big enough that this can go in sideways. The mailbox or the thing folds over it and you drop it off at their front door, put a proper label on it because you are a professional, and have that delivered. Either you drop it off and take a picture of the front of the house, which I would strongly encourage because it's a listing appointment. It'll give you an opportunity, have it ready for them. Remember, our appointment's not till Thursday, so I have 2 days. I want to make sure I get it there quickly. This is what's in it, and this is for you to edit. This actually is available. You all have access to this, and this will be a shared document. I promise you, I will share it with you. So it talks about at our meeting what you love most about your home, improvements, communities, breakdown of the selling process. And this is pretty long, so read through it. It is yours. It goes inside of it. Scheduling photos, offer presented, under contract, appraisal, and some of the home selling myths are in here. Staging continued. A lot was staging. Staging is effective, and it talks more about that. Your home's condition matters. We get into the marketing. This is very critical. This is your marketing for your listing presentation. When I'm sitting down with Mark, you're going to say, Mark, by a chance, do you happen to have that binder or that information package I sent over to you? And he's going to bring this back to me. And the cool thing is, Mark has already filled out the most important page because he looked at it. And if that's the case, your listing presentation is basically over. But we do cover our marketing in here. We're globally focused because all of us go to international MLS. So that's why we're showcasing that. We're prospecting focused. Now you can edit and change this however you care to. We're a team working for you. I would encourage you to use, if you want to, the GPS Global Partners as your brand. If you're feeling you don't have the strength alone, if you do, just put it as a team because you do have partners. That's one of the beauties of what we do together. Tracking showings and using the lockbox. It explains how a lockbox works. By the way, I do bring a lockbox to an appointment. I did not bring that with me today, unfortunately. That is part of and the actual last page in the binder. Now on the back of the binder, some frequently asked questions are in here as well. My personal binder, I didn't fill those in this time. How to prepare for a showing. That's on the back of the binder. It walks them through what to do in a showing. And we're going to need this because this is part of what we do when we go to the house and we present. Very last thing, our home improvements. This is the most important page. They get to this page, which is in the binder with a little sticky note that says, please take a moment and fill this out. It will help greatly. That's the sticky note. So when I ask for this binder, when I get there, I'm going to open it up and immediately look and see if they filled out the information on what they've done for home improvements. If they have, they're ready to list their property. It is a soft close that we're going to use in just a little bit. So as I said, we're now in this part. May I have permission to send that over? Marcus said, yeah, that'd be terrific. Couple other questions. I said, Mark, may I ask a few questions now to best prepare for our meeting? He's going to, of course, reply with, yes, of course you may. He said, I'm going to look this up in the tax records, but the truth is, Mark, I trust you substantially more than I trust somebody who's data entering, and you'd be amazed how many times the square footage or one of the details is wrong. So would you mind if I asked you a couple questions to make sure we get the right information when we're meeting tomorrow or on Thursday? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
Terrific. How many, and I'll answer for you, Mark, because we got a touch of a delay. How many beds do you have? He's going to say, I've got 3. And how many baths? It's 2. And how about the square footage on this one, Mark? And I've already gotten his address, so I've already done the homework. I have a pretty good idea what it is. I've looked him up on the tax records. It's 2,062 square feet. Great. Mark, I didn't notice you have a pool, do you? No, I don't. Okay, great. What year is the roof? If you happen to know, if not, that's okay, because I'm not really sure. We've owned the house since 2005 and haven't replaced the roof. Out of the role play, keep that in the back of your head. I'm in the state of Florida. In the state of Florida, we've now got a new law that roofs are only good for 10 to 12 years without an engineer validating them for another couple of years. And that's the only way to get insurance. I say this outside of role play because this is something I want to know. This may be something we're going to have to address as we're going through the listing process to at least make him aware that this is probably going to come up in negotiations. Currently, this is August of 2022. We're getting into a transitional market. We were a very hot market, and we've switched over to now a market that's becoming a little more stable, kind of going through a shift. In Florida, we're fairly insulated, but just so you know. So he tells me the age of the roof. I'm sorry, and I should probably show you this. I am working right off of this checklist, and this is where I was. May I ask a few questions to best prepare? Beds, bath, square footage, pool, age of the roof. Mark, how old is your air conditioning if you had to guess? Oh, it's probably 5 years old. We replaced it 5 years ago. Pay attention to this. That's fantastic. When I send something over, I have an opportunity now to go to where I'm going when I get there. Mark, when I send over the package that kind of explains something, there's a place in that package, it's right inside the front envelope, that will let you fill in any and all improvements you've done. Pay attention, this is going to help me after we're done, when I meet the appraiser, to show them all the improvements you've made on the home and increase our value even more. Would you take a moment and put that and write that down for him? And I've taken a note too. Would that be okay? He's going to affirm with a yes. And Mark, I notice you have a 2-car garage. Is that accurate? Yeah, great. Your turn to brag a little bit, Mark. Tell me about some of the cool things you've done, any improvements you made on your home. Write down whatever he says right here. Now, remember, we're still on the phone and I'm asking questions and I'm listening. So Mark, do me a favor. It's a mid-range property, not exo. Give me a couple of things and let's kind of bounce how that role play looks when you reply back with, let's say you put in hardwood floors, you put in granite, you did a remodel on the kitchen. Okay. Give me that information if you would. Mark, tell me about any improvements you made since you've owned your home.
So we put in some new granite countertops and we changed the patio doors as well.
Outstanding. New patio doors and granite countertops, improving the kitchen. That is terrific. Again, if you think of anything else, put it down on that list for me because I'm going to need that list. And we're actually going to use that in our marketing to help really showcase the value of your property. Would that be okay?
Yes.
Great. Do y'all see what we did? Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm carrying on, and these are my questions. They're very good. You can use your own. You may shift it, but do that slowly as you're going through the process. Become comfortable with what we're doing. So Mark, if you could wave a wand, when would you like to have your home closed and having you guys move to the beach? I brought him back to what his motivation is and really starting to enjoy your life, you and your wife, now that the freeloaders are gone.
As soon as possible. I guess 30 days to 45 days would be ideal.
Okay, terrific. Great. Thank you very much. Now, I'm going to do a lot of research. That's right here. And I promise you, I'll be able to support what I'm doing. But in your opinion, have you determined kind of an idea of the price range you'd like to have your home listed at? Say no, not that's your job.
I was. No, that's your job.
Okay, and terrific. And I'm fully prepared to come, fully prepared and be able to explain that. I was just wondering, start thinking about that because I'd love to compare notes with you when we meet on Thursday at 5 o'clock. Again, reiterating our meeting. Make sense? Any other notes from the call I'm going to have right here? Folks, this is the second page of it. You can see this on my screen. Second page is at the appointment. So I'm not going to go into this just yet, but I am going to do the appointment. Now I show up with a clipboard, and on the clipboard are my notes that I took with Mark. I also show up with my computer, and we're going to get to the computer in a minute. And this is exactly why I wore pants, but also how it goes. So Mark, I'm going to knock on your door, and then in about 2 or 3 seconds, I want you to answer. Notice how I walk away. I have my back turned because I don't want to be like this when he's looking in the door. Is he in there? It's offensive.
Hello?
So step back. turn your back to him and wait. No, so Mark, open the door. Just say that create, the door's opening.
Hello, hello.
Hey, Mark, how are you? It's George Philbeck. It's really nice to meet you. We had an appointment at 5 and it's 4:58. Is this a good time still?
Yes.
Great. So I come in, we talk for a minute or two, just chit chat, conversations that naturally would occur while this is really pretty. And usually you're going to have to say, so what I'd love to do, Mark, if you're okay with it, always getting their permission and approval, I would love a tour of your property. Would you mind if I put my my briefcase down in the kitchen and we can come back and talk about your home a little bit more in detail after we walk around the home? He's going to affirm with an absolute yes.
Yep.
Now, this is on my clipboard, and I pull out my pen, and I will say, Mark, I'd love to take some notes while I'm walking through. Is that okay? Don't forget to ask. So we go through the kit, we go through, and I said, if you notice anything you've done, improvements that you may not have jotted down, let me know about it, because the more I know about your home, the better I can be at valuing it. And quite honestly, the better I can be at defending it when we're fighting the appraisal values and we're making sure we get the most amount of money. Affirming the positive that we're going to list the property. So on this page that we have shared, the order isn't perfect. And I don't do this part, which is the marketing and offer process. I'm actually down here working on included and excluded items. As I go through it, and you'll see it, it's on the lower section, we're walking through the house. So Mark and I go through the house, and anything he says, I'm going to be jotting down in notes on the side or anywhere I can, or on the bottom. If he says that it's important, if his wife is there, I want to include both of them in the conversation. And for any man watching this, your biggest downfall is to talk only to the man. You are offensive in doing so. It is disrespectful. That they are owned together. Make sure you include both parties. That is important. For the ladies, same thing. If you're listing a home, the man and the wife, the husband and the wife, both have a voice. Allow both voices to be heard. If and this has happened, the wife is like, well, she doesn't get a chance to say anything. Ask her, say, you know what, Susan, your opinion's important. How are you feeling about all this? Something to engage her, to let her know that she is part of it too. That's such an important note. So back to the role playing. Mark, I really love the granite in the kitchen. This looks great. While we're here, let me ask you a question. Does the refrigerator, the range, the dishwasher, and the oven and disposal, I'm assuming the disposal, those are all going to be transferring with the sale of the property, correct?
Yes.
Terrific. So on these things, checkbox, check, 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 check. Excellent. There's no freezer. There's no wine cooler. You'll notice on this list, as we're going through it, there's the washer and dryer. So when I'm in the laundry room, I'm going to ask, Mark, the washer and dryer, are they going to stay with the home, or are you going to take those with you? Oh, we're going to take those with me. Great. So what I would do is I would check on this side, which means no, they're not staying. As a rule of thumb, as we're going through the home, because I'm looking at all this, window treatments and fans, basically anything screwed in or glued on, usually is assumed to close with the property. Are there fans that you want to take with you and maybe replace, or are you comfortable with the window treatments and the fans staying with the home? Let's get his information now. It's non-combative. It's not during the negotiating. We already know it. It'll show up on our listing paperwork. I'll go through the rest of this. Do you have any garage door openers? Yes, I do. I have 2 of them. Terrific. Is there a water softener? There's no pool and anything else. I'm done. Don't go to this. This is our close. Don't go to the bottom. This is our close. We're going to go back up to here. So we've toured through the house, and I'm going to say, Mark, why don't we go to the kitchen if it's okay with you? Again, affirmation. He said, yes. I'd love to sit down and talk to you a little bit more about what we're planning, or what's going to occur, what's coming, and what you can expect, as well as talk about the value of your home in the current market. Would that be okay with you? Yes, of course it is. So we go sit in the kitchen. I said, by the way, Mark, did you happen to have at your disposal the packet I sent you with the information I shared with you? He's going to say, yeah, I did. Say, would it be possible for you to go grab it? He goes, sure. So he brings it back to the table, because remember, you dropped it off at their front door. By the way, I always keep an extra one of these in my briefcase when I go, just in case somebody threw it out, it got lost. You didn't say I have it. And I could say, oh, well, here you go. Here's your copy. It's only costing me about like $3 to make this, and that's worth it. I open it up immediately and look at this. Mark has filled in some of the improvements. We're going to spend some time making sure Mark feels good. Holy cow, Mark, these are great, man. Thank you so much. Off role play. The improvements that they make in our conversations are twofold. First off, we will provide this list of improvements. Two, if it's really a good list, we're going to attach it to the MLS because it has the date, which is the year they did the improvement. Hold on, got to make sure it's on there. The date they did the improvement and what the improvement is. That would actually add value to the property if we can list that and make it an attachment. But I'm going to say to Mark just this when we're live. So Mark, this is fantastic. This allows me to present to the appraiser the dates and the improvements you did, which further supports the value we're going to get on your property. Thank you for taking the time to do that. Their normal response is, oh, absolutely, I'm glad to do it. If you think of anything else, let me know. Even if we've been listed for a couple of weeks or under contract, the more I can put in here, the better it's going to be for me having that conversation. So I have this. I said, Mark, did you have a chance to review some of the things we do a little differently than anybody else? And his answer is going to be either yes, I did, or no, I didn't, obviously. If he goes, yes, I did, I said, that's terrific. Now I'm going to close down 2 of the 3 items right now. Marketing, communication, last one's price. Mark, are you comfortable that we are experts at communication? In fact, the brokerage I work with is a tech-based brokerage. And the reason I chose them is they are phenomenal. Hold on. And technology is extremely important in the sale of a home in today's current market. Technology matters. We're a tech company. This is where we distribute all of your home, all of your property is distributed out to literally 300 plus commercial sites to maximum exposure. So remember, guys, in role play, I'm not actually showing up and say, let's look at my slide deck. Let's look at this. I put this as basically what I do in my listing presentation. In this case, we have technology. I can go back to this. Global marketing. This is important. I think I wrote it somewhere. In Florida, sorry, this is built for me. This is editable. It's a Word document. 22% of the homes are purchased by international buyers in the state of Florida. So of course, we are putting your home out on an international MLS because we want to make sure we entice all the buyers. This is something you're going to have to pay attention to, but it's in here. 90% of the time, they won't be interested in this. Back to role play. Mark says, yeah, I did take a look at that. I said, Mark, at this point, can we assume that you're comfortable that we're going to market the ever-living daylights out of your property and make sure it is completely exposed everywhere on the market, through the other agents that we know, through the MLS, everywhere? Can we make that assumption?
Yes.
Okay. I closed that down. He just agreed our marketing's fine. You get that? It's really important. The next one, Mark, I'm fanatical for communication. I'm probably going to over communicate to you. One of the things that we find most real estate agents fall short on is keeping you informed of what's going on in the market in an instant fashion. May I please have your permission? This is a soft close, by the way, to communicate with you, particularly in the first couple of weeks, probably more than you're going to be comfortable with, but I need to make sure you have all the information and you're the one that's in charge. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, now you can do that however you choose to, folks, but you want to make sure that he acknowledges communication is okay and that he and his wife acknowledge that the marketing is okay. Terrific. Mark, I asked you this before and we didn't get to it, and I've already done all my homework, so I'm prepared to have a conversation, kind of talk about it. Remember when I said, would you mind coming up with an idea of where you were thinking your home should be priced? You've had some time to think about it. Have you come up with it? Because I have my idea and I can't change it. I'm going to show it to you in just a couple seconds. Would you mind sharing with me your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was thinking there's another property nearby that just sold on 2406 Twilight. and it sold for 480. And my house is, of course, better than that one. So I was thinking
Right on.
500.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you very, very much. I'll tell you what, this is a really good time for us to shift over. Why don't we take a look at what's going on in the current market? And then we can have a conversation, and we're going to look at it kind of as an appraiser will look at it, because ultimately that's the final kind of benchmark. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Now what I'm doing is I'm pulling up my MLS. Doing that for y'all right now. I'm going to share my screen. And this is if I had it open and I'm presenting it to Mark. So Mark, what I did, and this is a place called Cypress Springs, is I said, let's take a look at everything that's in Cypress Springs. Now, we both know our home is right here. And this is our community, really the most important community for our comparables. But we have to consider that Cypress Springs is a big overall community. So I wanted to make sure we didn't miss anything. Does that seem okay to you? He's going to affirm, yes, it does. Great. So as an appraiser, this is important, folks, off a script. You have to understand how an appraiser works. And I'm going to explain it to Mark. Mark, as an appraiser works, they try and stay within the community, which in this case is all of Cypress Springs, but equally as important, they try and stay within the subdivision in there as well, because these homes were all built in the same tract, and they're different than these homes across the street, and they're different than these homes down the street as well. Now, by the way, that's the home Mark's looking at, and I totally get it. Okay. So let's take a look at some of our homes that are relatively close. Now, an appraiser is first going to look at proximity. Next, they're going to look at square footage, features and benefits. Are they 1 stories or 2 stories? Do they have a pool or not have a pool? We want to have similar homes. So I think we should look at this one. And by the way, I absolutely know what homes I'm going to be selecting. I've already done my homework. Not that one. Here's another one. Okay, that fits. And then I'm going to go across the street on that one. And I will go here. I said, Mark, there's some homes that I selected that I thought really made some good sense for us. None of them have pools. They're 2,000, 2,100, and 18. Now, these are in the same neighborhood, except for this one right across the street. Ranch Water sold for 446. I included this one because it was priced low, but look at that sale. So I'm going to focus my energies on here. Now, I'm very familiar with these comparables. What I would do is I would open this up and say, okay, let's take a look. This is the property. It's almost exactly like our home. It doesn't have, it's actually got a very nice floor plan. They've done a little bit of remodel in the kitchen. There's no refrigerator in there. And the sale price on this property was $430,000. Okay, that's cool, but that's not really what we're looking for. This next property, same thing, same neighborhood. We have 430 for almost the identical property. And I'll save you guys the trouble of having to go through it. It's in good shape, pretty basic. Remember, Mark just put granite on his. He's got a little bit on this one. So looking at this property, which closed for 460. I've got 430, 460, but this home is 100 square foot larger, which I'm going to adjust at $150 a square foot. That's about the average adjustment. So Mark, I would probably think an appraiser would put this in at about $445,000. That's my personal opinion of what this, we've got 430, 445. Now I would print these up and say, these are the ones that have to be used. We can't not use these. An appraiser won't jump out of a neighborhood. Role play part as would be in a break here. Here's the answer to that. If an appraiser goes over a home that is an absolute logical choice and skips over a home, they have to write an entire exception report. It's about a half a page of exception report. They don't have a choice. And if they do that without the exception report, their license will get dinged if it gets questioned at final underwriting, where they do a review of the appraisal at a high level. They will actually receive less business because their license has an erroneous report or has a ding on it, and they won't do it. So looking at it from an appraiser's position, we can pretty much rest assured that an appraiser without question is going to use these 2 homes right in our neighborhood. They can't not use these They're right down the street from our property. Now, this home, which is the next one closest, if we look at this home, Mark, that's 3,000. It's too big because an appraiser, I'm again letting him know an appraiser will not use a property that is more than 20% size, and they'll try their darndest not to use a property with a pool. And we have another one for 480 over here, but that's 2,200. That's actually a pretty good comparable, but it's 480. And if we took, in this case, the $1,500 or $150 per square foot or $30,000, we're right back to that 445, 450 range, 435, 445, 450 range. However, it's pending, so an appraiser can't use that currently. This property, though, which is our next closest home, is 2,045 46 square feet and sold for 446. Again, right where we're thinking. So my opinion is, based on what we've just looked at, an appraiser is going to be somewhere between the 425 up to the 450 range. Mark, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess so.
But we want to take a look at the one you were talking about as well. Let's find it. And I happen to know it's right here. Now, that's a pretty long jump when there's other homes closer, but let's look at this one real quickly. 480, 2,100 square feet. Now, I would have already reviewed this property for sure, okay? It has a pool, which right there is a $20,000 adjustment. Now I'm down to 470, correct? Or 460. They did the flooring or the tile out front. Let's give that a couple $1,000. We'll just take a quick look. Full cage, hardwood floors, complete remodel kitchen. Are you starting to see how I can then say this 480 that Mark wants? This is better than his home, by the way. And I've already looked at this, so I know it. I said, Mark, this is pretty impressive. How do you think this really compares to your home now that you've seen the inside of it? And if I have to, you better believe I'm going to have this picture pulled up right out front. Mark, in your honest opinion, and I'm literally asking, Mark, you know your home, it's pretty like the other ones. How does yours compare to this?
Well, I mean, it's maybe a touch less.
And I think that's fair. And with the pool, we're now at 460. I'm going to say realistically maybe $15,000 for improvements because they've got hardwood floors, a complete remodel kitchen, new cabinets, new appliances, new everything. But if we did that, that brings us to 445 again. Does that make sense? How we have 435, 445, 445, and the pending one, we're at 445. I'm starting to see a trend here. Do you see that as well?
Yeah.
Now, off of role play, I'm going to go one step further. I said, all right, but before we make our final decision, Mark, let's take a look at what the competition looks like around us as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the MLS. I've already done this. I've saved a search for us of every home in our zip code that is currently on the market. Now, the only criteria I selected was it had to be a single family home. This is the search that I've saved, and I would have it with Mark's address. It would be Mark's competition in 32825. That's what I would actually call this. I pull it up and say, let's take a look at what our competition looks like. We have 48 homes that are currently active on the market. We need to make sure that they select your home, not because it's the least expensive, but because it offers the greatest amount of value. So if you're looking at spending $390,000, you're looking at a 1,600 home with just a few exceptions that are not great. Now, if you wanted to pull this one up, this is a really bad property. I'm just throwing it out there because I know this one. But I say, all right, so in our price range from 430 to 450 or even higher, let's see what we've got. Field Stream North, not a nice neighborhood. That's overpriced. Gran Paso, that's actually pretty good, way overpriced in there. I'm going to start looking at this. So this is our competition. And when we get into the 460s, we start going up to the 2,200 square foot, 2,700. But more important than that, Mark, let's take a look at what is going pending. in our zip codes. So I switch over to pending, meaning a buyer has agreed to this. Up to the $400,000 range, these are all 1,500 and 1,600 square feet. 4 to 425, we start getting up to the 1,800 square feet. Now, some of these homes, and these are all actually really, really nice homes. So you start to say, this is our competition, and this is what they're agreeing to. There aren't a lot of big homes in this area, but here's a great one right across the street. Let's take a look at what 449,000 looks like. And I'll pull up the photos. Nice screened in backyard. I'm starting to see a consistency that it really does support where we need to be. Now, I have not done the homework on this particular actives. I would have gone through all of those because a listing appointment I'm fully prepared for. I want to know which ones make sense and how it looks and how it makes sense when I'm talking to him, because I want him to get value from this. So here's my conversation after that. Mark, after reviewing this, you talked about $500,000. My question to you is, based on what we've just gone through, do you think it would really appraise at $500,000?
No, I guess it's not. I guess it's closer to 450 or 445, like you said.
Somewhere in there. So, okay, off of role play. I'm going to switch now to range to minor and major search brackets. Mark, let me explain something to you, and this is kind of where we're going to be able to do our best work. A major search bracket is, let's say, between 400 and 450, or 450 and 500, or even 4 to 500. You know what I mean? If you're looking for homes in the MLS or on Realtor.com or Zillow, wherever they're shopping, a buyer can't say, because of the software, they can't go, well, I'd like to buy a home that is $432,553 to $462,000. They have to pick their range. Most people pick a major range, 4 to 450, 350 to 450, 4 to 500, and they look for value. We kind of already agreed that it's somewhere in the 425 to the 450 is our sweet spot for being able to appraise so it actually closes. Does that make sense to you?
Yep.
If we go over 450, we're now in a new major search bracket. And I definitely don't suggest we go to 425. So as long as we stay within there, I feel very comfortable that we're pretty darn close, and I'm going to fight for everything. Now let's talk about, how do we attract the best buyers out there? One of the things that I'm interested in is making sure that we're the best for our competition. The largest home, best price, best features. Your home is beautiful, so we're good on that. Star, mute your call. I did it for you. We're real good on having the best price, or excuse me, the best home. I think your home is terrific. And remember the competitors we're going with. If we wanted to really hit the appraised value of that property, where do you feel we should market your home at? Where do you feel would give us great energy for being a huge value, but we still appraise and we push the envelope a bit? What are you thinking?
445.
That is exactly what I think. I think we can push it, and you've given me so many great upgrades. I can do it, and I know I can get the appraiser to agree because I'm going to meet the appraiser here. Tell you what, Mark, do you want to talk about what comes next?
Sure.
Great. Going back to my clipboard. That's this. Let me walk you through what's next. So first thing we're going to need to do is I'm going to prepare the authorization for me to begin the marketing, and I'll send that over for electronic signatures for you and your wife. If I sent that over electronically, you can just sign it by clicking on a couple buttons. Would that be approved by you? Is that okay? Can you approve my marketing?
Yeah.
Great. And I'd love to schedule the photos because we want to get it. I'm going back to what he said. I'd like to get it on the market as quickly as possible. The photos do take a couple of days. I'm going to text my photographer right now. If I can have him here on Saturday morning, would you be prepared for the photos to be shot Saturday morning?
I think we need about a week to clean up.
Okay, terrific. So how about following Thursday, really a week from today? I'd like to do the morning shoot if we can, so we get the best light. Would that be all right with you?
Okay.
He just agreed to listing paperwork and photos. We're listing his home. We're going to send the listing paperwork over today, right now, immediately. In fact, if you had it on your phone, on your computer, you would just put the price in and click send. I just sent it to you and have all the information already, because on this page that you're looking at, we would want their email address if we can get it, or we just type it in when we're doing it and send it to them, but not immediately. We're going to go through our what's next process. You're going to hear from not only me, but in this case, my wife, Jackie, and both of us are really very, very intertwined, and both of us are available. I brought a lockbox. This is what it looks like. I'm going to be placing this after the photos are done. With your permission, I'll be placing it on the front door. And this allows me, Mark, to know the second somebody comes in. However, we are going to talk about the showing location or the showing in just a minute on how you want to handle those showings. But I'd like to have a sign placed in your front yard. Would that be okay? He goes, yeah, that's fine. I was thinking right in the center. Sound good to you? Yeah, terrific. No problem. So now I'm going into showings. I talk about showings, Mark. I would suggest that we want to have, for me personally, I like to have the agents reach out to me, and then I'll personally schedule a showing with you. When they arrive at the home, we want to make sure that they use the lockbox. And on the back of this is a complete instruction on how to set it up, but even more importantly, what to say to the agent. And I'm going to cover that in just a minute. Are you okay if we place a lockbox on your property? It is uber secure. Yes.
Yes.
Terrific. Great. So now let's get to the fun part. This is a couple days after Thursday, probably Friday, and your home is active. The very first showing is going to be a dry run where either Jackie or I are going to schedule a showing as if we're going to show the home, so that you can go through the entire process. You know how everything works, and we'll let you know this is a pretend showing, but we're going to go through the whole process to make there's not a glitch in the system anywhere. Now, this is important. When an agent schedules to show the home, we're going to let you know, because you'll have to approve it. And let's say the showing and Jody's at the house and the showing's between 3 and 4. The instinct is to leave, because that's when an agent says they're going to show the property, right? And he was going to say, yeah, it makes sense. I don't want you to leave. And here's why. Agents are historically late. Not me, I'm on time, but most agents are late. So I would prefer for you to stay in the home, and we'll let the agent know that the owners may need a moment or two to vacate the property, which is terrific. What I'd like to have you do, and we'll remind Jody of this as well, is when they knock on the door, say, give me one moment. And in the meantime, would you please open up the lockbox so that you can secure the property when you leave? And the second they do that, Mark, we know they're inside your home, and we start texting them saying, hey, this is George and Jackie. If you have any questions while you're showing our property on Cypress Trace, please let us know. We're here to support you. We want to create a very good environment for the agent showing the property. Does that all make sense? Mark's like, yeah, that's terrific. Mark, we're also going to provide you weekly feedback and instant feedback for all the showings as we get them. Truthfully, we only get about 30% of the feedback. Unfortunately, a lot of times they won't provide it. But while we're engaged with them, we're going to ask for feedback as well. We're also going to give you weekly feedback of what's going on in the overall market. Every Wednesday, you're going to hear from us at the latest, and we're going to cover what's going on in the market. Off of Role Play, I use a software called Snagit. Looks like this. This is important if you like this kind of stuff. This, you can barely see it. There's a little S for my snag. Oh, it's there. No, it's not down here. This is it. And I'm going to capture the screen. So watch this. I've selected video, capture the screen. Can you all see what I'm doing? Give me a thumb. Wait, hold on. I know you can't, so I'm going to try it again. Now you can see my screen. There's a little S up here. That's for the Snagit software. Costs like $50 a month. I don't encourage you to buy this, but if you decide to, you want to. So I'm going to capture the screen. This is my update. This is a listing update. I'll get my ugly face off of there. I'm going to go through the search and the criteria that we just talked about with the seller. Click record. We'll give this a couple of seconds while it records. And here's what I'm going to say. Hey, Mark, it's George Philbeck. I just wanted to run through some of the things we're doing in our listings so that you know what's going on. And this thing is being real slow. These are all the active properties. I'll dig into it. I'll talk about our comparables. I'll have it up and ready. I'm not really prepared for it, quite honestly, at this point. But what I will do is I'm going to do a video presentation for my update. Now, that video presentation allows me to update Mark live with what's really going on and show him my screen. And this is part of my weekly feedback that I give him. So Mark, once we, by the way, are you comfortable with us holding an open house on your property?
Yes.
Great. So we're going to do that. We'll host an open house. We'd love to do it if we're going to place it on the market on Friday. We're going to do an open house on Saturday or Sunday, really drive some traffic. I want to talk about offer instructions. We have an offer instruction sheet, and that offer instruction sheet lets our client or let the buyers know that with your permission and your blessing, of course, that we want inspections done in 17 days, not 15 days. We don't want any surprises. We want them as quick as possible. So we're going to force them to do inspections faster than slower. Loan or appraisal is never put into a contract, but we write it into our contracts that they'll have the appraisal completed within 14 days. So we know that that is taken off the books, and it's usually 30 days for loan commitment. We request very stringently that it's 21 days. So you get all your answers right away. Does that work for you? He's going to say, yes, that's great. I'll discuss in here the types of offers. Offer scrutiny, what do? Before we present the offer to you, we will have called and vetted out their vendor or their lender. We want to know that they're fully qualified. We can get information that is going to be important for you to make the right decision on what's the best offer for you. And we present the offer for you personally. You are always busy on weekends and we can't get to you, which thereby gives us the rest of the weekend to try and gather an additional offer. And we will string the client or the seller or the buyer on a little bit. Key dates of the transaction, that's easy. I go through an inspection. I go through what the appraisal is. Here's the appraisal. Listing agent, seller, buyer agent, buyer are not allowed to meet the appraisal. Yet, I take the lockbox off your home after the inspections are done. And I put a combination lockbox on the side of the property. And when the appraisal is scheduled, they'll call me for access. And I'm going to ask that you and Jody and the kids leave. Now, I will be there because I have to make sure the appraiser gets in, which gives me a viable opportunity to have a conversation with the appraiser. And I will share the appraiser. This is how you do it. This is what I would not share this to Mark as the client, but here's what you would say to the appraiser. After the appraiser's done, listen, may I ask you a question? I'm always trying to get better at my craft. I selected these 3 properties because I thought they made the most sense based on how an appraiser thinks. Can you tell me if I'm thinking properly about that? And I explained, I picked the 2 that were in the neighborhood because I thought those would be the most relevant. Those support my price, guys. That is why I do that. And that's why we take the lockbox off so I can have a reason to be there to meet the appraiser. Loan commitment, same thing. Loan commitment is in 21 days. You can bet your bottom dollar we'll be on top of it. Preparing for closing, we keep the power on, and you'll get information from us about this. You want to keep the power on to the day after closing, just in case. We don't expect any surprises, but keep it on for the day after. They'll turn it on for themselves, and we'll do the final walk through everything else. And at the closing table, I never show up at the closing table because that's not where I need to be, but you can have any conversation you want. Couple more questions real quick, Mark. Septic and sewer. When was the last time? Do you have septic or sewer? I've got septic. Great. When's your garbage days? I'll circle that. Yard waste, circle that. Do you have an alarm system? I didn't see one yet. Yes, I do. Do you own it or lease it? We own it. We've had it for 15 years. Terrific. Is there a water softener? No, there isn't. On the bottom. You don't need to ask this question. You don't need to ask this question, but I would. Mark, would you like me to handle the sale of the property for you? He's going to say yes. He already said yes to everything else. And we already figured out the prices. Yes. Put your notes in here. Folks, this is a complete listing presentation without you having to show off your PowerPoint and everything else. If you stick with me, I'm going to share this right now. What I am sharing, just so you know, is the checklist itself. I encourage you to open it, view it, save it. That is the checklist I just dropped in there. It will be on the YouTube channel. Dina, thank you for dropping that in again. I appreciate it. About the insurance. Gilda asked a question about the insurance. I do want to cover that real quick. In the state of Florida, you cannot insure a home that has a 30-year architectural single that is over 12 years. They're stopping doing that. It's just frustrating. The only way around it is to have an engineer certify that the home can make, that the roof can stand up. An engineer certified that the roof will hold up for at least another 3 to 5 years. Okay, that means we're going to get maybe 16, 17 years out, but you got to get an engineer to do it. I don't know any engineers still do it. I say this because it is really, really crazy that this is where we're at right now, but we are. So a new roof is almost an assurance, unfortunately, with what we need to do when we're listing a property that has a roof that's over 10 or 12 years. Now, in a very heated market, that's not necessary, but in a market that we're currently in, which is softening a little bit, it will become more important. Appraisals will happen and be really relevant. That's the listing presentation. I'm going to stop the recording at this point.